So
Oh,
let us
damn.
go. Actually, let me go to this screen first. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dawn of Discussion with your favorite hosts, Gan and Ron. Here we are.
Boy.
Hello. Back here, obviously, with the chat window above me. So feel free to say anything, except for things that we don't like. Don't say things like that.
No, we never say things like that.
No, no. Anyway, we started an hour earlier because there was honestly not really a reason not to do that. So here we are, and we actually do. It's been a while since we actually did proper Donald's discussion. Like we did an episode last week, with the E3 going on, but it's been a while since, and there's been quite a lot happening since. Like we talked a little bit about while playing Star Wars, but I think now that we're properly sitting down and actually talking, we can actually talk about some of the things that have come up, like
Yeah.
Loki, Suicide Squad, I guess, the Flash film, which has a couple of new things going on. So, where should we start?
First and foremost, I haven't actually gotten a chance to watch the new trailer for the Suicide Squad film,
Okay,
but I will definitely get around to it.
for sure. I mean, it looks good. That's all you really need to know.
I mean, to be fair, it's James Gunn, so
It's James
I'm,
Gunn.
I'm assuming I'm gonna like it. But yeah, so where should we start first? I guess we should start with Loki.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spoiler warnings for anyone not watching Loki.
Yes.
But yeah, um, first episode, sort of, we'll start with there. We'll go through all three
Yeah,
episodes. But the first episode was extremely slow,
it really was. And
but at the same time, it worked for me weirdly.
it did for me and it didn't. Like there was something like here's the thing. Obviously, like the TV, like well, the way that we everything that we know about the show now, like the TVA is clearly the bad guys.
Oh
That is
yeah,
that is
absolutely.
clearly like out to like change, like even better, destroy the multiverse like altogether, so that there's just one sacred timeline. In the
Yeah,
first episode, though, I didn't get that impression right away, which is either a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. So I felt very weird about the TVA, but I was still
yeah,
inclined to like keep on watching. And also, like the bit where he like watches his whole life transpire as it was meant to.
yeah,
I think he came to terms with the inevitability of that, and like him having done that a little bit too easy. Like I think it was literally just like the kind of thing where it's like, time travel, like person travels back in time, tells something to the person. Oh,
yeah,
okay, well I guess I'll just change my personality to an extent, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I think it's for me is that him coming to terms with it a little too quickly would have been an issue for me, but there was, I think, a very good realization that he discovered that in the Infinity Stones mean nothing. And
Yeah.
I think it sets things in perspective, this whole glorious intent or purpose or whatever he said, and then to come to this final conclusion of like, holy shit, everything I did not only didn't matter, the things I thought that were the most powerful, like his whole world,
Yeah,
his
it just
whole like
collapsed.
perception has just collapsed in on itself.
Yeah.
And I think that can shock someone very violently into coming to terms more quickly than one would expect.
Yeah.
I think anyway. But
No, that's fair. I doubt, like I'll be honest, these aren't my impressions. Like
yeah,
again, looking
as
back on it, like there are a few problems that I have with it to an extent, but like nothing great. The main thing that I find a bit of a plot hole, right, is and maybe it isn't even that much of a plot hole because it didn't do much for like the timeline that they wanted, but like um
yeah,
they said that the Avengers were meant to travel back in time and go for the Infinity Stone.
yeah,
And Loki wasn't supposed to pick it up.
yeah,
However, if Loki hadn't picked it up, then they wouldn't have traveled back to the 1970s to pick up the Tesseract from that point.
Yeah,
So
I guess
that kind of threw me off a little bit. But
I
then
guess
I
so,
guess it
but I
doesn't change
feel
much. It doesn't like
it
I
doesn't change much because I suspect that possibly what might have happened is that their theory is that oh Loki doesn't pick it up because well for whatever reason and the Shield guys and Thor and Tony that were already there notice it's out of its box and quickly put it back in and they just walk off with it and the Avengers still miss their window and they have to go back in time even further again.
yeah,
Like that's the thing that's the only thing I could see that I would see like yeah that's why they would still have to go back in time. But it's weird.
it
It's
is.
weird. I mean, to be fair, I guess that if that might have been intentional for people to go, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Because by episode 3, it's becoming very apparent. It's like, oh, the timekeepers are fucking bullshitting their
Yeah.
way through all of it. Like,
I will say now I'm thinking like now I'm actually using my brain a little bit, which I haven't done in a while. Uh in Infinity War, the Ancient One did say something about like creating like an alternative timeline.
yeah,
That by Loki taking the stone obviously was created.
yeah,
Like nothing else the Avengers had actually done changed the timeline in any way because while they did go to events that had happened, except for the Guardians of the Galaxy one, they didn't really change much.
yeah. Like, and even then, the massive things they did change, which would take the Infinity Stones, they did have Cap go back and put them all back in the
That is true.
which, yeah, because I think though come to think of it, the other big thing, and to be fair, it's never referenced, but thinking about it more and more, is like the time variant and things. Like Peggy Carter lived out her whole life as it was.
Yep.
And then she met Steve again, and then, he was younger and everything. But then Steve goes back in time and decides to stay with her. But that at no point feels like it was obvious throughout the whole MCU. It's kind of like, wait, wouldn't that make him a variant? Because that doesn't feel like something.
So in
I,
Infinity War, there was a slight reference to it, but not really. Which is the fact that she still had a picture of Steve, because you got to remember as well. Like, yes, you know, they did like each other a lot. I don't know if it was love because they didn't knew each other that long, I guess. But they did fall in love to an extent. The events that took place in Infinity War when they went to pick up the Tesseract from that point took place 30 years after he was lost in the ice. So by then she could have easily just moved on. And there were references to the fact that she did meet someone. So if she had met someone, then why would she have a picture of Steve in her office?
yeah, that's a very fair point. That is a fair point. Okay,
So
yeah.
so do you know what? I think what I'll do is I'm gonna watch Infinity War when I travel to my parents again because I feel like there's a whole bunch of things that I didn't think about while watching Infinity War, just because we didn't really have the information from Loki. But
You mean
it's
Endgame or Infinity War?
Infinity War because there's two things that I've mentioned from Infinity War alone that somehow feed into Loki. The so the Ancient One saying the timeline thing.
Doesn't happen
No,
in
sorry,
Infinity.
that was Endgame. Sorry, you're right. Sorry, that was all Endgame. I'm so sorry.
The
I'm
more you talk about it, it's like you've got this wrong.
Yeah, no, I got it wrong. I got it completely wrong. It was
uh,
Endgame. It was not
yeah,
Infinity
yeah,
War.
no. All right, now we're on the same page
Yeah,
officially.
it's my bad
Yeah,
because for some reason I still remember Infinity War being the superior film, so that's why my mind went there.
sure, sure.
Yeah, I mean I'm starting to think that it might not be.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to judge the two of them because they're both basically Endgame can't exist without Infinity War.
Yeah,
And no matter how people put it, like I did talk to it with a friend of mine from work, who was a former coworker, who
yeah,
was like, "Oh, I think they just should have ended it at Infinity War. Endgame was fair. He really hated Endgame, but
yeah, but you can't just end it there.
yeah, because that's the thing. He said, sometimes there are bad endings. Like, mate, you
Yes,
don't
to be
know
followed by a good
superheroes.
one. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
you don't know superheroes. Superheroes don't end on bad notes.
Yeah,
Like, leave that shit to like fucking horror films. That's their domain. But
yeah. Also,
superhero films. are meant to make you feel good at the end.
Yeah. Also, you're gonna have 19 films in a series, and it just ends on a bad note. It's like you
Yeah,
can't do that.
yeah. To be fair, I think part of it, and I would have called him out on it, but I was busy as well working myself. Um, because he's a massive, like, extreme Iron Man fan. And the thing is, he's not, as a quick note to everyone, he's not an actual comic book fan. He's a movie fan. So he likes the Marvel movies, but he's never read a single Marvel comic, which I
Yeah.
think can always be a bit flimsy with
It
fans.
is
And
a bit flimsy because basically the two different kinds of people will look into different values. Like
yeah, exactly.
I think for us, like as comic fans, you know, having read at least 10 comics each,
Yeah, more than that. Eh?
probably more
Way
than
more
that, yeah.
than that.
But like
Way more than that.
as
Sorry.
comic fans, we're looking, first of all, we're looking for
Representation of the character and how it's
representation
done.
of the character, and also for like you know, common story threads that go throughout the comics as well, because the story
Yeah,
threads are what really represent the character more than, you know, their the actual character at times. That's
yeah,
why those stories are written, so that they can be faced with
yeah.
a situation that they can respond to.
But
Um,
sorry, as
yeah,
going back to it, because like he's a massive Iron Man fan, and part of me thought you just hate Endgame because he dies at the end. Part of me just feels that it's like
yeah, but
you're just
that's
fucking butthurt
silly.
and salty that he dies.
That's silly. If anything, you should like it more because he dies in the end, because
Yeah,
it's like
it's all about him at the end. Yeah,
it's all
it's all
about
about Iron
him.
Man.
It
Yeah,
started with him and it ended with
yeah,
him. He was
yeah,
the first his last words in the first Iron Man film were "I am Iron Man," and those were his last words before he died.
yeah.
On
Fucking
no,
poetic.
actually, maybe not quite. I think he was
Oh,
dying. Like as he was dying, he said
mm,
something, didn't he? To Pepper.
I think he whispered something, but if you can't really hear it, then it doesn't really matter.
Then let's say it was. It's more poetic if I'm right.
Just fucking imagine though, where if she does lean down, it's like, what did he whisper? What did he whisper? It's like, oh, we'll leave that to fan interpretation, and I'll just go, oh, I know what he said then.
Yeah,
What? He just said to her, I am Iron Man.
yeah. He
That
just said
was
it
it.
again. He
He
just
just
had to
said that
reaffirm
again.
it. He just had to make sure that everyone, you know, was on the
He
same
had to
page
make
here.
sure that she knew he was Iron Man. Oh god. Oh,
um,
that's fucking fantastic.
no, he probably said something like, you know, "I love you 6,000" or something like that.
Yeah, I love you 3000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, that would.
6,000 because you know, he loved her probably more than. Well, no, that's harsh.
Nah, nah. You always love your child.
1,500.
Most great parents love their child more than their significant
He
other at times.
he.
I want to know. Yes and no, because I think it's true in the case that when they're very young, you will always love and care for your child more when they're really young. So like from when they're born to like maybe 12.
Yeah.
But once they're grown up and they're out in the house and they're living on their own and they have their
They're
own,
just kind of
then you
annoying.
yeah, then you switch back to loving your significant other more than your
Yeah,
child.
that's true. Anyway, he probably told Pepper, "I love you" 1,500.
Just to hit it home, it's like
Yeah.
I don't love you nearly as much as Morgan loves me.
Yeah. Um.
uh, no, I think if he would have either, I'm sticking with it. He either would have said "I am
Yeah.
Iron Man,"
You know
or he
what?
would have said "I love you 3000."
Now that we're thinking about it that way as well, I think that's the reason why they cut out that deleted scene where, you know, he comes into the like Infinity Gauntlet realm thing. Do you know about this?
Oh yeah, where he would have met Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's why it was cut, so that his last words would actually be "I am Iron Man."
yeah. Because in the end, I think
It makes more sense.
it does make more sense. I think the only way you realistically could have had it work, where because it's good that I am Iron Man is his last words, but if they were to go, okay, playing the whole Deadpool's advocate of, what if we did it kind of thing, the way I would have maybe done it, if I had to put that scene in, is him and grown up Morgan, and Morgan just simply says, I love you 3000, and then he hugs her and just end it there. Like, there's no,
Yeah, but
you know,
this is the
similar
thing.
with, but I think it's better without it still,
Yeah, of
regardless.
course, because it feels a little bit contrived and pointless.
Yeah.
Because because people might think that it belongs there because they're like, oh well, it happened when Thanos snapped, and it's like, yeah, but it didn't happen when Hulk snapped. So
No, because the thing is, you know why it couldn't have happened ultimately in the end, and why it actually makes a lot of sense that it was deleted.
Mm,
the whole thing when he sees Gamora there, Thanos, is because she's trapped in the Soul Stone,
that is true. That is
and
true.
Morgan's not trapped in the Soul Stone. Black Widow is.
Yeah.
So it could never have been Morgan.
It
Could
wouldn't have
never.
been. Yeah, it wouldn't have been Black Widow either.
Yeah, I
Although
mean, well, she
it.
probably
Yeah.
was there, but having a scene between those two wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, um,
Enough about
okay.
Endgame though, because
Yeah,
we're
moving
talking
back
about
on to
Loki.
Loki.
Episode one anyway tied in very well with Endgame then. And the more I
Yeah,
think about it, the more I appreciate the first episode.
yeah, yeah.
The second episode though, I had tons of fun. I really like this.
Oh,
I really like the second episode.
I really do too, because Loki in that Loki is such a he's been so consistently himself.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's great because he doesn't feel like he's matured compared to the Loki that we had gotten through, like Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War, and that he still kind of feels like the younger
Yeah.
Loki from Avengers Assemble, like this arrogant, bombastic, sort of louder, obnoxious version of himself, which is good. And I think they're slowly building into this because while he comes to
Mm.
terms, he hasn't fully changed. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
which I think
he's
is
still like trying to trick them. He doesn't trust the TVA entirely. He has his own agenda, which is very Loki like.
yeah.
Um, the only thing the cop like you did say it was gonna happen, but like I didn't agree with the ending right away when she removed the cloak and it was like, oh, I'm female Loki. Um, more on that later.
Yeah,
Um,
so we'll jump now, I guess, to episode 3 of Loki
let's start with female
with
Loki.
so she
So
pops up.
yeah,
Sorry,
so basically, I've been reading online about her as well because I was like, you know, who is this person? What's going on? And like, okay, who's female Loki in the comics? Because that's like the argument that everyone uses. Like, oh, well, there's female Loki. First of all, she's not female Loki from the comics. Female Loki from the comics is actually Loki who
yeah,
becomes a woman for several
yeah,
years, and that's it.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only connection. What I did find is that she's a half gender bend and half character mix because it's not just Loki. Uh,
No,
there's another character in the Marvel comics called the
enchant.
Enchantress.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got that vibe from her.
which is not to be confused, obviously, with the Enchantress from DC. Very different character. Um,
Yeah,
but that's also why she's blonde and also explains her name Sylvie, which actually was kind of leaked in a very bizarre way.
okay,
Because basically in episode two, when you go through the credits, she's credited as the variant, and in most languages on Disney Plus, that's still the same case, except for one particular language that I don't remember. I think it was like Castellan or something like that, and there it was just
okay,
called. She was just called Sylvie.
interesting.
Um, but it isn't the Enchantress, but she's like
It
half
is.
the Enchantress. It's
She
like
is and isn't. That's the
yeah,
thing.
it's like if the
She is and
Enchantress was actually Loki. That's what it is. So
yeah,
she is called Sylvie Lofedotter. So she is
yeah,
Loki in that regard, but she isn't actually Loki.
yeah.
So
I think yeah,
and by doing that as well, I think they've done the right thing with that. Really, like usually, like I don't like character mixing necessarily, and I definitely am not the biggest fan of gender bending. But by having done all of that, you've essentially now made a character that is one like an actual character in their own right,
yeah,
which I personally like, and also like the way that she behaves is like it's clearly not Loki because
yeah,
she claims to be hedonistic, but she seems to be hating fun.
yeah.
So you know, I love that scene as well. Like when he was like, okay, you relax as you do, and I'll relax as I do, and he's just like fucking singing.
He's singing and causing a ruckus, and yeah, and she's just there sleeping. Is I think that's the thing. I think that was my major concern. Is basically the two of them are going to be too like each other, and they're really, really not. And at
Yeah,
times when, because I didn't peg until you just mentioned it that it was confirmed that she's meant to basically be a version of Enchantress, who's a version of Loki as well.
yeah,
But as I was watching the episode, I was just watching it thinking, no, she's not Loki. She reminds me of the Enchantress, and even then with her headpiece, because it's just this single piece here,
Yeah,
really. That's that's straight out of the Enchant. That's basically the part of the
yeah.
Enchantress look, and I was like, oh, as I was
Oh,
watching, I was going, that's. I didn't
also,
peg
also
that
they
either, but now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, I thought it was very familiar, and that's why it didn't feel
also
familiar.
they didn't hide it at all because they kept saying like, so how do you do your enchanting? You can enchant people? Whoa, I wish I could teach me how to enchant people. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
because
Thank
I
you,
think that's
Marvel. You know your comics. Thank you.
yeah. Because to be fair, I think they are clearly going to try and make her. They're going to try and set her within the main Marvel universe. I feel, and keep her as the Enchantress, and switch her from just being Loki to the Enchantress. Because ultimately, I think the thing is, it's like both of them are very different. Because she is
Yeah,
obviously a little more aggressive, and she's enchantment based, whereas Loki is just a straight up con artist. Where she's not. She's an what? She's a what's the word? An anarchist, and he's a con artist.
yeah,
And also, he is a mischievous person. He's an illusion specialist when it comes to magic,
yeah.
which is very different from her skill set. So I think they've done a good job at gender bending, but at the same time making it clear that it's not just a gender bend. There's a bit more thought to it.
Yeah, like she is a character in her own right, and like she has a different personality. The only thing maybe that was a little bit annoying is where they got Loki to basically fuck up every single part of any plan, except for the one where they go. So basically, like, the bit where they try to talk to the woman, and Loki fucked it up because he doesn't know how to talk to people or whatever, and then
Yeah,
Loki's the one who got thrown off the train, and broke the temp pad. Um, like that kind of
I
frustrated me
think
a slight bit.
you're reading a bit too much into that because it's like, oh, see, he fucked up there. This is, them shitting on his character. It's like, yeah, but so did she. They both fucked up at that sequence. Like, neither of them got it right. So I
Yes,
think
but
it's
Loki
fine that he
initiated
fucked
it.
what when they were speaking to the woman.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. The other person did. The other Sylvie did because she kicked in the door and then got blasted, and then he
Oh yeah.
went around the skies and
Oh
then
yeah,
got.
that's true actually.
So it didn't start with him. I
Yeah.
think that
Okay. Fair enough.
I feel like that's a bit reading too much into it because to me
Okay.
it's like, oh, that's fine.
No, never
Because
mind. No, I
as
missed that part.
yeah, because as he was talking, I was like, oh, he's gonna get fucked
Yeah.
because that's very Loki. I feel, but the train sequence I kind of saw coming because I thought, he is a little more obvious than she is because
Yeah.
she's trying to be subtle, whereas well,
Yeah. He likes to make a
he likes
scene.
the attention. He likes
Yeah.
the attention. That's the thing.
Yeah. Which now that you've put it that way as well, like, yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, because I think once again, that's the thing. This is still also like if it were an older version of Loki, I'd be kind of like, come on, man, what are you doing? But this isn't an older version of Loki. This is the younger version of Loki who tried to take over New York City and
Yeah.
failed. So he still has a lot to learn before he like adapts and changes to become a stronger version of himself, as it
Yeah.
were.
It's true. It's true.
'Cause you have to remember the whole setup for that second episode was him going, "I'm the superior Loki. I'm the superior Loki." And to
Yeah.
be fair, neither of them are superior to each other, but it's this arrogance of like he
Yeah.
genuinely thinks there is not a single version of him that's better,
I
which
mean,
always play into it.
technically, like, there's nothing really to suggest that he's better or that she's better. It's just that they have a slightly different power set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is like they're both going to think that they're the better version of Loki,
Yeah.
which is very Loki-like.
However, it is worth mentioning, Loki is more Loki than Sylvie is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
this episode portrays that better than any other episode has so far.
Yeah, we only just met her this episode.
True. However, when he was like, "Oh, I can do this. Like, I can make things appear and disappear and stuff like that." She was like, "Ah, you're a magician." It's like he is the trickster god. That is literally the point of all of this. Whereas she hasn't really done any of
Trickery.
those kind of
Yeah,
tricks.
yeah.
Like she actually scoffs at that. So that makes me think that she's not a trickster god. She is.
Well, that's the thing
She could
because
be a
when
god.
they
She probably
well,
is a
that's the
god, to
thing
be honest with you.
That's the thing. As they were taught, I mean, to be fair, if she's still the daughter of Laufey, the giant,
Yeah,
she's still technically a very powerful being because
she
he
is.
was. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, as they were talking, it became very quickly apparent, like, oh, she wasn't raised on Asgard, and if
Yeah,
she wasn't raised by Odin and Frigg, which is a really interesting dynamic to have.
yeah,
I think that sense of like he was, because I'm very much getting the sense that they're putting it in two different ways. You know, here's the prince, and here's the urchin rogue. You know, the prince
yeah.
paladin, the urchin rogue. Essentially, well, not
Well,
paladin, obviously
he's
trickster, but
yeah.
trickery domain cleric, whatever. That actually
I
kind of.
can work with that. Yeah.
But it's like they're both
Well,
very
I would peg him more as a bard, to be honest with you.
touche. Prince Bard.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like they're very, very
yeah,
different, like upbringings, clearly
yeah. Because
from the start. That
that
became pretty apparent.
that's the thing is like if you look at it as well, like from a trying to be psychological point of view, like Loki actually behaves like he's a younger brother because
Yeah,
that's where competition really kind of comes from as well. Is like if you have siblings, you have to like be better than the other.
yeah,
Whereas she
that's
doesn't have that at all. She just wants to get the job done.
yeah, that's a very interesting point. From because she also still doesn't behave like there's slight instances where almost she does kind of behave like an older sibling at times when
Mm,
when she catches him on the train. But other than that, she doesn't treat him like a kid, or she sort of finds him annoying. And
yeah,
essentially, the best way of putting it is it's a little brother who doesn't have his big brother around to annoy, so he's latched on to the next person, and she
yeah,
just doesn't know how to handle, and she doesn't want to deal with it.
yeah. But also like obviously like Loki, the main reason why he wants all of that attention is obviously because he lived in a well he grew up being secondary to Thor. Thor was obviously like
And
brought up to be like the heir of the throne, and that's why all the attention kind of went to him.
yeah,
Especially from his father. His mother was more like trying to like split the love between both, which
yeah,
mothers do
which
fairly well
yeah,
usually. And that worked, but obviously it's not enough because as a man you also need to have like
you need
your
your
role
father's
model.
approval.
Yeah, your father. You need your father's approval because you need your essentially your role model to establish that you are doing the right things, and if not, you're gonna do the opposite, which is what
Yeah,
Loki's become. So,
yeah,
I guess in that regard, like trying to get the attention of like all the people on the train and like pulling these tricks and like singing and like having like dancing and all that, and being like having the spotlight on him makes perfect sense. Where she is like she has known for most of her life to just keep her head down and like not be in anywhere,
yeah,
take care of
yeah,
herself. She doesn't have anyone to rely on.
yeah. Because and it's very interesting because when you actually think about going to Thor Ragnarok,
Yeah,
Loki and Thor Ragnarok is weirdly more like Sylvie because he's there with the Grand Master, but he's still, a lot like OG Loki, weaving his way in, manipulating it, but he's trying to keep a lower profile. He's not being as attention seeking. He's not being as obvious, I find.
yes and no. I mean,
Like,
you say that, but then he also sits next to the Grandmaster during the tournament because he still wants to be regarded high in society.
yeah, I
Also,
think that
the whole him pretending to be Odin bit.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that is true. But I don't know. I guess with Thor Ragnarok, he still felt
Yeah,
more matured. He felt like he understood the nuances of having a little subtlety, not being subtle, but
yeah,
having a little subtlety every once in a while thrown in. Because it wasn't like him, being. Actually, no, to be fair, with that whole play about Loki's great sacrifice, that was clearly him trying to shift attention to Loki.
yeah.
All right, yeah, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah,
And
yeah,
also, while you know that I love Thor Ragnarok, I mean,
I can see. I mean, they're going
um,
to ruin it very soon next year with
of
Thor: Love and
course.
Thunder.
But what I wanted to say is, there are some character moments in that film that are more made for a joke rather than genuine character moments.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but like there's the bit, for instance, where where he's still pretending to be Odin and Thor arrives and he goes, "Oh shit." Um, while it's funny, it's not quite like Loki to do that, or like Odin, so it's
Yeah.
very questionable as to why that was like it was written in for a joke, but like that's why, for instance, as well, like in the second one, when what we thought at the time being other Loki, but Sylvie, I guess, said, "I've got shit to do," I was like, "That's not Loki. Loki would never say something like that." And
Yeah,
if he would say that in the gist, he would never use those words.
yeah.
And
Also, so
if they did make Loki say that, then they fucked up. So I think
yeah,
that they've redeemed themselves by essentially just making it a different character.
yeah. I will say, sorry, random note because I just
Yeah.
realized something. Just as a random note, I've been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier with my mother, and we were watching the last episode
Hmm.
where Sam gives the Captain America speech about
Yes.
doing the right thing. And there's a point where he says shit, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, language! Wait. I was just like, Cat wouldn't say that. You
Yeah.
failed, Sam!
This
You
is the
failed to
thing.
be Captain America.
So one of my former co-workers actually pointed this out, where basically he was talking about his wife like playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and he noticed at some point that there was quite a lot of swearing, and while that's not necessarily a problem, what is a problem with that is that if you have characters in fictional media who swear a lot, it starts feeling a little bit contrived in a way, and it's like you're just swearing for like the adult effect. Like you're not like there wasn't a
Yeah,
swear word necessary here.
yeah,
And so I do, since we had the conversation, I sometimes cringe a little bit when like a character who's not meant to be swearing is suddenly swearing.
yeah.
But then, again, I love Thor Ragnarok. The thing is, there's two reasons why I am looking forward to Love and Thunder. They don't necessarily trump the big reason why I'm not excited, but there are two reasons. The first one is that I'm on IMDb for some reason, so it better be true, but for some reason, the majority of the cast from Guardians of the Galaxy are mentioned to be in the film. So if that is true, I would be very happy. Even if it's a cameo, I would still be very happy.
To be fair, he does leave with them at the end of Endgame, so I
That is
imagine
true.
he may have like a brief start with them, and then they'll just kick him out. It could be for a bit. To be
I would
fair,
I would still love that
which I'll be
scene.
fine with. I'd
Yeah.
be fine with.
The second thing is there was a picture on Taika Waititi's either Instagram or Twitter or something on the last day that they finished, and Chris Hemsworth looks fucking
Ripped.
bulky. Oh yeah, dude, those arms. Like I'll be honest, like
The
you could.
issue is Chris Hemsworth is a naturally pretty fit guy. He takes his fitness very seriously.
It's true, but for films, like you have to change your regimen so much
Yeah, true.
depending on what you do. Like even Dwayne The Rock Johnson is like, he's a naturally very buff dude, but he had to change
That
his
is a fair
diet
point. Yeah,
for Black Adam because he had to
yeah,
get
that's very
even more ripped.
he's gonna like when we see him shirtless like on a beach somewhere, it's like, oh man, he's got an 8-pack. That's impressive. We see him in Black Adam shirtless. He's like, is that an 18-pack? How do you get 10 extra?
For
Where did it
he
come from?
he just invented the 18 pack. I've never seen this before.
It's like his muscles have muscles.
Yeah, essentially like
Like
he
when he does
fucking
this and
does
just like
this.
his bicep extends out, all of a sudden like another arm grows
Yeah,
out. It just does the same
literally,
thing and another bicep appears. You're like, what the fuck?
literally. Sounds like a
Uh,
SpongeBob bit, by the way. I'm pretty
I'm
sure it was.
sorry.
But yeah. Um.
Uh,
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, the whole Natalie Portman thing. I'm worried. I'm worried sick.
I am too.
I think.
But I'll wait for the first trailer before I settle on whether or not I'm going to be truly worried or whether or not my worry is
Yeah, I
perhaps
agree.
level.
And should land
Because you
fairly
never
soon
know.
as well.
They could pull. I mean, Taika Waititi he could pull it off.
I
Could
mean,
pull
he
it
is
off.
very good.
Yeah.
So
So
he here's hoping.
here's our
Here's
opinion.
hoping. Um.
Uh,
But yeah, speaking of actually,
superheroes.
it's complete. Yeah, superheroes, I guess. Um. I recently with you more than anything, but I started watching Superman Lois. Uh, I'll be honest, like I don't particularly like the CW series for the most part. Like because they get, I think Flash. I watched the first episode of, and I thought this is cool. I'm gonna watch more, and then I never did. Um, but as far as I understand, it just gets weirdly complicated for no real good reason.
It gets weirdly complicated and just gets bad. Like
Yeah,
they start repeating a lot of the same stuff. like Iris ends up being the leader of Team Flash despite having no credentials for it. It's like,
Yeah, I don't like that. And
mm,
apparently Supergirl, like I remember watching the first episode of that and I was like, oh, this has potential to become very preachy, but I did like this episode, so I'm gonna watch more, and then I never did. There's a pattern here, by the way. Um,
yeah, you missed
and
out on much for Supergirl.
yeah, I've been told that apparently not only does it get preachy, but it also just gets straight up bad.
Oh, no, I wouldn't even say it gets preachy. It gets preachier. They get even preachier throughout the series,
Yeah,
and
okay.
and then like the it's not only just bad. The reason why I say you can be like this thing is, I think, for example, Black Panther and Falcon and Winter Soldier slightly preachy at times, but it doesn't feel as in your face. Whereas
Yeah,
Supergirl is very in your face preachy, because there's a point where she's ranting to someone like about some bad drivers. Like, why is it always a man that's at the wheel whenever it's a bad driver? It's like, honey, that's not the
that's
stereotype.
not the stereotype, no.
The stereotype is it's an Asian woman, but it's because it's a woman now. They're never going to say it again. It's going to always be the white man that's the bad
Yeah,
driver.
exactly.
But yeah,
Which is frustrating.
yeah.
Um,
Arrow just got bad after like season 3. Season 3 was average. Season 1 and 2 were
I
very good.
didn't even like. I watched the first episode of season 3, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. Like, I
Yeah,
loved season 1, and I loved season 2 arguably even more. But
yeah.
after like I after season 3, it just lost me.
The
Um,
issue I had with season 3 is like, why was Ra's al Ghul the villain? It never made sense to me that it was Ra's al Ghul.
I think the problem is that they clocked at some point that they had like a good parallel between
Batman
Green
and
Arrow and Batman, and basically
yeah,
they were very much going there, right?
yeah,
Because they were like, oh well, like people are like, oh, this is cool because it's like Batman, so it's like, okay, well, let's make him like Batman, give him his villains, or just make a Batman show. No,
yeah.
let's make a Batwoman show. Let's talk about Batwoman briefly because I haven't watched it, so I can't really say too much.
I haven't watched it either, and I will say this to all viewers: I have no intention of watching it
No.
unless I feel like one day I just want to watch it to see how bad it really is, and
So
even then, I might watch an episode or two.
so what I've come to understand is apparently, um, so there was Ruby Bros playing Kate Kane in
Yeah,
season 1.
yeah.
Um, and then something happened to her back. Like I don't remember the story exactly, but not the character, but the actress
The actress. Yeah, I remember
got
that.
injured, so she
Yeah,
couldn't come back for the second season. So they killed her character off, and then brought her back, played by someone else.
yeah.
Um, and so they got this completely new Batwoman who
Not
never.
completely new because she appeared. I think she did appear in like 1 or 2 episodes of the show beforehand. I
Yes,
could
but
be wrong.
she never appeared in any comic book whatsoever.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
she was specifically written for the show. Uh, a a black lesbian woman
Yeah,
who just happened like as far as I understand, what happened with her is she. So there was a plane crash, right? That Kate Kane was on with the batsuit, obviously, because she's gonna take it with her. Um, she found the people dying on the plane. She found the suit. She took the suit. She left the people for dead. Went away, and now as like a Pride Month celebration thing, that like DC made a post I think yesterday or something saying today we're celebrating Batwoman, our cool new superhero who is earning the mantle, and everyone's like, she didn't earn the mantle, she stole
no,
it.
yeah.
She
She
has
stole it.
done nothing to prove herself, and we're
Yeah,
just celebrating this like sheep. Like
yeah,
at least Kate Kane was, first of all, she was established in the comics, and she had done stuff to kind of like make herself established to an extent. She had to work hard to earn that respect from people, like especially like me as well, who I kind of worry about tokenization in comics quite a lot lately,
yeah.
where it's like I think we just like characters
It's
because
there
they remind us
when
of
they
another character that we like.
yeah, because when they created Batwoman, they created her ages ago. I think
They did, yeah.
way before any of this social justice warrior stuff really started
I think
popping
it
up.
was in
So
like 2005 or something like that.
yeah,
It was like
something like
around the
that. Like
time where like just before the New 52.
yeah,
And then in the New 52 they revamped her to be uh, a family
more of a
member of
main
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
and all
and will
that. They kind of
remain.
haven't connected. Which
Yeah,
again, like we've already mentioned, the funny bit of how that essentially makes Batman Jewish, which is very funny to me. Um,
sure.
I just think it's funny because that means that there is actually a Jewish comic book character that I don't find particularly interesting. So that means that I have no racial biases.
Sure.
I don't know. I think that's funny. But anyway, um, she had to work for that um
Right.
to yeah,
Batman.
for that,
Yeah.
right, yeah, and she did, and she got there eventually. Like she was slightly more aggressive than Batman, but she had her own ways, and she was incorporated into the violence and
And that's the thing.
whatever.
Yeah, she never, at no point did it ever feel like the writers were trying to appease Batman fanboys by having her like basically by being a lesbian woman suck Batman's dick. No, she at times is very against Batman, which I think
Yeah.
works well.
Um.
Because
Have
weirdly,
you?
I think a lot of Batman fans hate her, which is weirdly something that maybe means I might like her even more.
Yeah, exactly. I will say I might give it a chance at some point, but only season one. And the reason for that is that the advertising for the show was horrendous, like actually bad, because all they really said in it was, you need a woman to do a man's job, and it was
Oh,
awful marketing.
so essentially, this feels very similar to the whole. We're releasing a show called Miss Marvel. What is there to know about her? She's a fucking
Yeah,
girl
it's
currently
literally that.
dirty, and
Is it?
she's Muslim.
No, no, no. So okay, no. It's I will say it's different because the advertising for Batwoman actually showed stuff from the fucking show. Stop telling us who this person is and just show us something.
Yeah,
I fucking hate Miss Marvel so much, and I haven't even seen anything from the show. But I just hate the character with a passion. The only character that I hate so much with a passion because she shouldn't exist, just for the sake. Anyway, we were talking about Batwoman. They actually showed stuff from the show, and it was bad because they basically implied that Batwoman is going to be better than Batman as a superhero because she is a woman. That's what
yeah,
the advertising basically, and obviously it doesn't work like that.
no,
She's going to be better because she's better, or she's going to be worse because she's worse. That's all it has to
yeah.
be.
And
Um.
let's be honest, the Batman fanboys would have had a field day with that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this woman who hasn't been trained by the greatest martial artists, who didn't have his parents murdered in front of him, who doesn't have access to infinite wealth. Well, yeah, she's going to be better than him. It's like,
But
no, as much as
yeah,
I find Batman fans annoying, I'd be like, no, I think they're going to win this argument.
they're gonna win this
I'm
argument.
just saying, because weirdly, because they're probably not going to just say because he's Batman now, they may actually get frustrated enough to. They may take this more offensively, weirdly.
Yeah, exactly. So I will give it a shot at some point just to like
Yeah,
power through the cringe and just see if it's any good at all. But for the
yeah.
most part, it's very
No,
whatever.
now
Um,
on a weird
I
thing circling background
yeah.
to Superman and
There's more
Lois.
to hang on. There's more to it. Hang
Oh,
on,
for
hang on. I
God's
wasn't
sake.
done. Uh, Legends of Tomorrow. I'll be absolutely honest. I haven't seen anything from. It looks kind of fun, but I haven't seen anything.
I watched the first two seasons and liked it, and I watched bits and pieces of following seasons, and I just thought, no. Once again, I think the issue I've noticed that there's a bit of a trend with CW that the first two seasons are usually either very good or average, and then right after that they just drop off
Yeah,
massively,
exactly.
like very
Um,
quickly. I think Batwoman is the one of the few that breaks the mold because it not
it
only is
immediately
bad in
goes
season
bad.
one, it gets worse.
Um, yeah, jeez. There's one exception to this entire thing, uh, which is kind of where I'm going with this. Um, Before we get to the actual point, obviously, because I have to make several points along the way. I don't know if it's a CW show, but that brings me to Black Lightning,
Okay.
which I think there's 4 seasons out now. I've only seen 3 seasons because there's only 3 seasons available in the UK currently. Um, but I loved every single season so far, just because it's telling its own story. It's true to the character. It's true to like a superhero trying to do good intentions instead of having like a political agenda. You know, he's just a man trying to clean the streets for a better tomorrow for troubled children for the most part because they
Yeah.
live in tough neighborhoods and stuff. And I love that, and I think there's something very real about that. Obviously not
Yeah.
realistic, but very real. which is why it was kind of a shame when in the middle of season 3 they started doing all kinds of weird shit that kind of led up to. Well, it wasn't that weird of shit. It was like one episode where they like had a storm in Freeland happening, and then one of his daughters got trapped in the Speed Force, I think, and he himself was transported off to a different universe, which then brings us to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is the only reason why I've watched an episode of any of these shows in recent history. Crisis of Infinite Earths was awful.
Oh,
And Black Lightning's involvement in that was minimal.
yeah.
Like, I'll be honest with you, I could have just not watched that and still gotten the gist of what happened. But it did kind of unify all of the universes. Like, you had the Arrowverse, and then you had the Supergirl universe, and then you had the Black Lightning universe, and it kind of brought everything together. And the Swamp Thing universe as well brought it in as well.
Because weirdly, this is one of the few times where that random shitty crossover where they're dealing with the Nazi versions of themselves was actually better than than
Genuinely.
Infinite Crisis. And Infinite Crisis is the biggest story DC has ever done.
Well, it was Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, sorry.
Apparently they're very different things, but then again, like in DC, there's like a crisis every other year, so you know they can't keep their fucking shit in order.
There's Infinite Crisis.
There's Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Two Earths.
Crisis on Two Earths. Final
Identity Crisis. Heroes in Crisis.
Always a crisis.
There's always a crisis.
There might preventing these crises from happening. They always have to fix.
Yeah. There might be a secret crisis coming up soon, which we only hear about, but then nothing ever happens with that. You know about Secret Crisis, right?
Because it's a secret, man. That's why no one knows about it.
No, because I think it's unrealistic, but it's the only thing that's going to save Marvel and DC.
Oh, do you mean properly Secret Crisis where it's DC?
Yeah. We only hear about it, but nothing ever happens with that. It's not gonna happen. No. I think it was meant to be a film as well.
That would be really interesting. I'd be very interested to see how they would do it.
I would love to see it, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be bad.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so
it depends on how they do it. If they do it in comic books, it could go either way. If they do it through the films, and if Marvel's taking the lead on it, might be good depending on how they do it, and if they don't get too political. And especially if they don't let Zack Snyder near it, they definitely should not do it on television with the CW stuff taking the lead. That would just, that would end DC and Marvel forever. But anyway,
so
carrying on with your rant.
So basically, let me get back to my rant then. So obviously, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, everyone goes to their own corner, and the CW goes, okay, do you know what? The only reason why I did like the numbers for Crisis on Infinite Earths in terms of people watching went through the roof and then went just back down, and they must have thought to themselves, you know what? It must be because Flash not particularly good right now. Arrow, we fucking killed the main character. Legends of Tomorrow, not particularly interesting right now. Batwoman, we don't know why it's not doing well right now, even though it's painfully fucking obvious. And then Supergirl, not doing great right now. What can we do to make it better? And they make Superman and Lois. And that brings us here, the present. And
you always rely on Big Blue to save the day.
And I can tell you now,
mediocrity.
I have my problems with Superman and Lois for the most part, but it is undeniable that, except for Black Lightning, I gotta make that very, very clear. By far, it supersedes any other CW show.
Oh yeah.
And there's no, like, the gap isn't very small at all. Like it's a massive. Oh yeah. It's a mile-long stretch between.
Let me put this way.
Maybe Arrow or Flash, and then over there somewhere Superman and Lois. It's brilliant. In comparison.
I mean, you could say he leapt over the quality wall or quality building in a single bound.
He did. He did.
Well, that's the thing. Like the visual effects alone are already lifting the show up
Yeah,
so much better. Like
they're
they're
mind
good
you,
where it's not great,
they're not
but
great, but they are far better.
they
There's
are
no
far
comparison.
better.
Also,
Yeah.
I will say in the first
Actually, you know
episode,
what?
they are actually really good.
Oh yeah.
The
Also,
second and third they start slumping, but the first episode is really well done.
I think that's the thing because weirdly, now that I think about it, after watching some of the current fight scenes from all these other shows, I realized as I was watching, it's like, huh. You remember when you used to watch Power Rangers and think that shit was really cool to watch on TV, and
Yeah,
then you rewatch it as an adult, and you're like, man, this shit is awful. That's what it is. It's Power Ranger
it
fighting,
is.
and then with Superman and Lois, there's at least an attempt to make it feel cinematic. Like
I'll be
the
honest.
whole
I like the fighting in Power Rangers. Now looking back on it,
I mean, to be fair though, you know Power Rangers, like that's the thing. It's all about expectation. With Power Rangers, you expect the fighting to be over dramatic and bad because it's a
yeah,
kids show.
and the same
Whereas with
punching sound
CW,
every time.
oh yeah, whereas with CW,
Yeah.
you with superheroes, you're not expecting that shit.
Have you
Well,
seen
because
Have you seen the behind the scenes video of I think it was like a Supergirl crossover event with Flash, where like basically Flash was like rotating his hands to make like a tornado, but like obviously it's without effect, so it looks really silly. Like is this just going like,
oh yeah,
and then like in the like she says something and then she like jumps up and it's like you may as well just do that. Also, I'm gonna sit here better because I like the composition.
fair enough.
Yeah,
What
like
we're both facing, or are you facing me now?
I'm
One of the
gonna
things.
face it this way, which is weird because that's into the void. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna straight ahead this.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, literally like that. I like that looked funny, and adding effects to it doesn't really help.
Yeah, yeah, because in the end, the thing that really sold me on the show, and to be fair, as we mentioned, it kind of does dip.
Yeah,
But if you start it well enough, and if there's a dip, but the dip isn't like there is a dip, but it doesn't feel like a massive one, if that makes sense. It
no,
feels like it's taken a couple steps down, but not like it's gone to the very bottom of the stairs straight away. And at least they've kind of averaged it out now.
yeah,
Whereas the fight between the Stranger and Superman within the first episodes, the two encounters,
yeah, that was awesome.
are fucking incredible encounters.
Yeah,
Like they
especially in
fucking
comparison. There
yeah
is no comparison. It's
yeah.
just really good.
There's like the whole space sequence as well, where Superman's heat vision goes off and it's sort of spinning around a little bit. Like that to me is like I was sitting there thinking like this is like fucking watching an actual film of Superman. That's how
Yeah,
good this was.
genuinely. I will
And
say as it goes on, the effects kind of slump down, and shit gets a little bit funnier. Like how his suit is clearly padded,
yeah,
and it looks so like he's. I mean, obviously, like there's in universe explanations for how these mechanics works, but like basically when he's Superman, he's like fucking buff, and then when he's Clark, he's like a slender man.
yeah,
I think like you can explain it by saying like, oh, Superman has such control over his muscles that he can like deflate them, so he
yeah, yeah.
like fits
I
into
think
the
they have used that as a reasoning for how he's able to pull it off in
yeah.
the
Because
actual content.
Superman, I don't know if we've ever really talked about it, but Superman has so many fucking superpowers that he just never uses.
Yeah,
Like
he
it's
doesn't really need.
insane.
And even then, in the ones that don't, some of the ones that it's like, oh, does he use these? It's like, yeah, but he's not going to go into, he's not going to go into great length talking about them, like his ability to like make him less muscular than he appears. He
Yeah,
doesn't need to talk about that. But anyway, yeah, going back to it, I think the thing is though with Superman and Lois, the thing that sells me on the show is like, okay, the special effects do dip in quality, but it's like the
yeah.
writing is
The
consistent.
writing is excellent, and that doesn't go
Like,
down. It just gets
no,
better, to be honest with you.
yeah, it really does because oh man, I need to get
None,
you fully caught up because there's
none of the
one
dialogue is
twist.
cringy.
Pardon?
None of the dialogue is cringy. That still
No.
blows me away.
Yeah, it's still, and the thing is, like when he talks as Superman,
Hmm.
it feels like Superman. That's
Yes.
the key thing. Whereas, so quickly, because there is, I know I can't really talk about it because you haven't seen, but there is one twist I know
Go
you
for
will
it. Go
love.
for it. Go for it.
You want me to tell you? The Lex Luthor is not Lex Luthor.
Oh, really?
You want me to tell you who he is?
Sure. Is it Jimmy Olsen?
It's John Henry Irons. he's Steel.
Oh, that's
When they
so
revealed
cool.
that in the show, I was like, "Yep, this is the best." Like, I was so happy when
That
they
is
did that.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
That means Superman's gonna die.
And they do have a point where he uses the hammer, and I was like, "Yeah, there we go. They've nailed it."
I can't wait to keep going. But I'm gonna have to do that in Portugal, probably through legal means.
Yeah, but
Or maybe they have it on TV there, I don't know. I don't know what
maybe.
these
Yeah, you
Portuguese
never know.
people watch.
You never know. But yeah, but no, that was the point because I always thought, there's going to be a twist with this Lex Luthor. There was going to
Yeah,
be a twist, and then it's like, oh, it's John Henry Irons. Like, this is the
yeah,
best twist ever. It's like because it made sense. It's to me, it's like you've introduced this iconic Superman character, but not as the hero we've all expected, but as a very with a reason to not trust or like Superman. Though that was the key thing. He's still a hero,
yeah. Of
but he's not. He's also not all the way a good guy because he wants to kill Superman. But there's a reason
course.
why.
But
Uh,
yeah, don't tell me why, but like yeah, no, that's a good twist, and I look forward to experiencing it.
yeah, no, it's great. It's very good. But yeah,
So
I won't
yeah.
reveal the other big twist that I'm a little more iffy on, but at the same time, the
No,
show is still.
don't. I'll take
I'll
this one.
spoil the twist. I'll give you the big twist that initially got me very into the show.
Yeah. That's
But
good.
anyway, yeah,
What episode does this happen in actually?
I think episode 7 or 8. It happens
Oh, it's
sort of
still
in
quite a
the
while to
midway.
go then.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine then.
yeah. And yeah, though Superman and Lois not losing steam, and
Honestly, that's one that I can recommend to people.
yeah,
And
and
then
in
no,
all
that's one
honesty,
that people don't want to watch.
yeah, yeah. Because also like the thing is, it's not even just that Superman's a great character. Every character in that show is great.
Yeah.
Like Morgan Edge, the brief few times we've seen him, he's good. Lois is great.
Yep.
Clark is great.
hmm Jordan.
Jordan's good, not great, I would say, but he's a good character.
Yeah. Jonathan.
Jonathan, honestly,
Yeah.
he's
I
such.
still love the observation that I had the other day where it's like Jordan's the one who like developed powers, and it's like and it's funny because he's named after Jor-El, whereas Jonathan
Yeah,
is the more human one because he doesn't develop powers, but he knows like he's
yeah,
got more like values of like a human moral compass that is good,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
reflects more of Jonathan Kent,
yeah.
which I
Which
think is really well written.
it is a really well done thing. The idea of having it as twins as well, or even if they didn't go with twins and they just had one being slightly older and one being
Yeah,
slightly younger, still would have worked, in my opinion. Because that idea of that they're siblings, and I think that's the thing with the Superman comics, it was a brilliant idea to introduce the idea like, okay, Superman from now on is just going to be a family man, because I
yeah,
think it was a good way to modernize him. But I think the idea in the show is like, let's give him two kids, not just one, because also that's weirdly the more like weirdly the more stereotypical American nuclear family,
yeah.
which I feels works even better. Like a father, father, the mother, and the two kids.
Yeah, no, that entirely makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's great.
yeah, great show, guys. Can honestly recommend it for anyone who wasn't wanting the spoiler of who Lex Luthor was. Sorry, but
Yeah, or the fact that he's
yeah,
in, even in it, even though there's always going to
he's,
be someone called Lex Luthor in any of these shows.
there's
Because come
always
on,
going to be some way Lex Luthor weasels his way into a Superman story.
of course, as long as it's not John Cryer. Oh, oh, wait, something's gone wrong. Oh, I think we're back.
Yeah, we're back. I just had to refresh my. I just refreshed my YouTube page, and it looks like it's back to normal.
Yeah, no, we just had a temporary connection issue. I'm not quite sure
Okay.
what happened there, but like basically the stream actually stopped. So
Okay.
not quite sure what it is, but I think we're back now. It looks like we're back. Uh,
Okay.
right. So anyway, um, moving on.
To the last thing, more super news.
Yes,
So, Flash comes out next year, I think,
yes, I think so.
and they've revealed some details and things. So,
Yeah,
Michael Keaton, as we've known for a while, is going to be in it.
Michael Keaton's gonna be in it. Ben Affleck is going
um,
to be in it.
which is
Uh,
both great.
Christian Bale
And
is maybe going to be in it. It's not
yeah,
confirmed. Actually, it's almost confirmed that he isn't. But, it would be funny,
one
even if he did a
second.
cameo. What else has been confirmed? It's going to be a multiversal thing. So no one confirmed it was going to be quite Flashpoint,
Yeah,
but I think it's going to be heavily inspired by Flashpoint and like
yeah,
events that occurred in it. Um, and also, there was a picture revealed recently of a Superman logo, um,
yes,
which I thought meant that Superman was going to be in it, but turns out I was wrong. It's actually Supergirl,
yeah,
or a sort of Supergirl.
yeah. Because I guess the current main three theories that I've got going through my head, and one of them heavily leaning towards more than the other, depending on how they do things.
Mm-hmm.
One possible theory, going with the least likely one, which I hope this is the least likely one, is a gender bend. It's still Kal-El, but as a woman.
Yeah, I would fully reject that.
Second one is that it might actually be a version of Kara Zor-El. It could be very well. It could be Supergirl, just without the blonde hair and
Could be
darker hair for
Supergirl,
whatever
yeah.
reason.
I mean,
Yeah,
let's be honest, they're cousins.
yeah, they're cousins, so
It makes more
it could
sense.
make it does make sense. Uh, and then the third and final option, which is what I think they are going to be doing, and because of the whole there's time travel and multiverse stuff, is
Sure.
that this is actually Kal-El's daughter, or a
Yeah.
version of his daughter. That this is Supergirl to eventually perhaps become one day Superwoman and take his place.
Yeah.
But that's my running theory.
Uh,
And she is played by Sasha Cal.
yeah. So basically, she's already celebrated as the first Latina woman to play Supergirl.
Yeah.
Which can we just not celebrate these things until we see her on screen, because you don't want to, like, Halle Berry was actually not the first Black Catwoman. I changed. I caught myself. Why are you making that face?
I just looked up her filmography.
Mm-hmm.
She's slated to appear in Flash, filming 2022.
Yep. As we know.
She is slated to play Supergirl
Mm-hmm.
in Supergirl.
So there's gonna be a
It's just been
oh
announced.
universes merging.
This is interesting. So that either confirms, in my opinion, one of two things: that she either is actually Kara Zor-El, or it is actually Superman's daughter. It's not just going to be a gender bend.
Here's what I'm thinking, and I really hope they don't do this because, like I said, I didn't like that thing. But I think, uh, Flash is not going to be Flashpoint. It's going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that the scene that happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths with Ezra Miller Flash is going to happen in this film as well. And Supergirl is going to be like the characters in the films are going to be involved in it somehow. So
Okay,
Supergirl, Batman, like,
interesting,
there we go.
interesting theory. Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I kind of hope they don't do that because, as I said, I didn't like Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it would be interesting.
It would be interesting, and to be fair, I don't think they would go full on a connection. They might do like this is either an aftermath or is the anti-monitor and the CW stuff is doing things. Maybe there's another bad guy that shows up to take
Yeah,
advantage of all this shit. And
because
maybe Ezra Miller's Flash and Michael Keaton's Batman and Sasha's Supergirl kind of all come together to work
yeah,
together to stop the villain.
because they do all share a multiverse,
Yeah,
like the CW stuff, the movies, the Titans, um and the Doom Patrol as well.
yeah,
The the 1966 show, the Batman show, which I still love. Um, the older films as well with Michael Keaton. Obviously, I think they want to make a connection with the Dark Knight as well. But if you ask me, maybe don't.
yeah. I think the thing is, I would leave the Dark Knight out of it because
It's just a thing of its own, and it's a universe that is
it very
created
much
in such a
doesn't.
way that it doesn't accept any other heroes other than Batman.
and not even just that, it also works in such a way that it doesn't accept anything unnatural. Everything in that show is based upon just it being very real and
Yeah,
very normal, weirdly.
yeah,
So superpowers and aliens and just all that shit
yeah.
wouldn't work.
Which is probably why I didn't like it as much.
Yeah,
Although I was no, well, I will defend Batman Begins. I like that film.
yeah.
The Dark Knight is okay, and then Dark Knight Rises is not okay.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I
Hmm.
scared the viewer away with that. It always happens. Like every time I say I don't like the Dark Knight that much, someone just leaves. Um, we'll see what happens because to be fair, like Flash is one of my currently favorite characters in that cinematic universe.
Yeah,
So it'd be a shame to do some injustice upon his ass.
yeah.
Um, unless they do an injustice run, in which case, I would love to see injustice in the films. To be honest with you,
I would too, but I think that's now not going to happen, considering Henry
no.
Cavill's not coming back to be Superman.
Yeah, I mean that whole situation is so shit. But I'll tell you what, I genuinely think, and this is a prediction. So, okay, you know how oftentimes I make predictions from a pessimistic point of view, which is if I'm right, I can say I'm right, and if I'm wrong, then something good will happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a prediction now that is the opposite of that, which is that Henry Cavill does come back, and I will tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Okay.
Henry Cavill wants to come back. That much we've confirmed because he
Yeah.
does love to play Superman. He loves to work with the people that he did.
Yeah.
I think he's like one of the only people who didn't complain about Joss Whedon because he genuinely just does
Well,
the
I
thing to
mean,
have fun.
who has Ray Fisher and Gal
Gal
Gadot
Gadot,
did?
some of the
But
crew.
to be fair, I
I
think
think Amber Heard
they're
also complained about him, but she'll complain about anyone these days.
yeah, and to be fair with Gal Gadot and Ray Fisher, especially with Gal Gadot though, there feels like there was a genuine like, okay, seems like he was a bit of a shit to her.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Um,
Anyway, what?
but yeah, so basically, he really loved playing the character and being
Yeah,
and
he loves Superman. I
yeah.
mean, he's now a Superman nerd as well. Like he seems to love
Oh,
the
he's a
character. And,
nerd. He's just
yeah,
a nerd all
he's a
across the
nerd.
board.
I mean, as I've said to Tammy before, it's like let me see if I can find the fucking meme because it works out. It just works too well.
Also, can I just say
Describing.
he's probably the buffest nerd out there.
Oh no, he is, and there's a reason why this meme is fantastic. Oh yeah, here we go. Henry Cavill. Built his own PC for gaming.
Yep.
Reads comic books and sci-fi and fantasy novels.
Yep.
Prefers staying in and playing video games than going out partying.
Yeah.
Almost missed his Superman audition by playing World of
World of
Warcraft.
Warcraft. Yeah, I know about that one.
Is Superman. Is Geralt of Rivia.
Yep.
And basically it's pointing out, thank you for breaking the stigma of being a nerd.
Yep.
And it's like, he is the king of nerds.
He is the king of nerds.
He is the king of like nerds. He is the unofficial king. And I'm like, yeah, Henry Cavill can represent the nerds any day of the week.
You
He
know
is the
why he
king.
built his PC? Like the target for his PC. Specifically to play Witcher 3. He's a nerd. He's one of us.
He's one of us.
But you know, like people say, well, but he doesn't know it yet. No, he knows. He's
Oh,
aware, and he wants you to
been,
know.
For I think since like whenever like all the marketing stuff for Superman Man
For the
of Steel
Witcher as
was
well.
like no, but since like Superman Man of Steel and like he did all the interviews for that, it's like, oh no. From day one, he's been very open about being a nerd. It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I nearly missed getting the role for Superman because I was playing a video game, and everyone's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like no hesitation. Most
Yeah.
actors like, "Oh, I nearly missed the audition." It's like, "Oh, for some stupid reason." But he's like, "No, I was playing a video game,
Yeah.
and it was a very important part of the video game."
Yeah. And everyone was everyone who ever like hears that story initially they just go like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. And he goes, no. So are you aware of this concept called a raid? Yeah. So and he like it explains. They're like,
He
oh, he's
dives
not
into
kidding.
it, like fits
oh my
into it.
god, you can't talk to this guy. He's actually boring. And all the gamers in the audience are like, no, keep going, keep going. Yes, bring it on, baby.
Asian! See, video games aren't bad if they produce this.
Yeah.
Buff, muscular, handsome men.
And then I loved as well, like in the I think there was one campaign for The Witcher as well, where like someone asked him like, so PlayStation 4 or Xbox One? He was like, PC. And it's like, he
He's
is,
lost brownie points with me because of the PC Master Race bullshit.
yes, but at the same time, he is a true gamer.
Yeah, sometimes that makes
He did make he said the right thing, because yeah, in the choice, obviously PS4 wins, but there's a secret option C, and only true, like if you are a true gamer, you will at least consider option C. You will acknowledge its existence.
This is a whole different debate. This is a whole
So
different debate.
anyway, so beyond that point, bring it back. He
Yeah.
loves that nerd stuff, and because of it as well, like he loved playing Superman, and he still wants to do it. I think it's pretty much undeniable at this point that yes, the films that he's been in as Superman haven't been the best, but his performance, if you compare
And
it to historically, like all the other ones, has probably been the best. Like he has probably
yeah,
been the best on-screen Superman ever.
yeah. In terms
So
of especially with the physicality, the look, and with the brief stuff we've got with Joss Whedon's Justice League, and even like a few sequences here and there, and I know you don't like it, Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's like no, there's shades of the smiling, confident,
yeah,
happy Superman that we're used to, that we all know and
exactly.
love. There's shades of that version of Superman.
Now on the
And
flip side of the coin,
yeah,
obviously Superman is going to be recast as a black Superman within the
yeah,
DCEU, right?
yeah,
Written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, produced by J.J. Abrams, director unknown for now. I
yeah,
think it's gonna hit a brick wall, because
yeah,
I think a lot of people, they are complaining about it right now, but more people are going to be complaining about this, and more
yeah.
people are going to say that they don't want this, and at some point Warner Brothers will agree to this.
Okay.
I will say, I think they were owned by AT&T previously.
Yeah,
AT&T loves to pander to people.
yeah,
Discovery, however, not so much.
yeah,
They just make what they believe is worth making. That's why we have so many seasons of Ice Road Truckers. So, at that point, I think Discovery might actually just put a pin in it and just go like, we're not doing this. Also, Ta-Nehisi Coates, not the most popular writer right now at all,
no,
because he's made a lot of missteps in his career that ticked a lot of people off,
yeah,
and I think because of it, he's going to be under, like his name is going to
yeah,
carry this idea of like, if he writes a film, then people are less inclined to watch it.
yeah. Because I
Um,
think briefly sort of going into more reasons as to why we think it will go down now is I think initially I think fans were on board with it when they were announcing Black Superman
yes, because
because
they
they thought,
explicitly
oh,
said it
it's
wasn't
Val
Kal-El.
Zod. Yeah, they said it's not Kal-El. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Val Zod. That's great. We want that. That's fine. But then they obviously, as we found out recently, went back going, oh no, it's Clark Kent, and everyone was like,
Yeah,
wait, no, you can't do that. That's not how this works. He
that's not
can't
how
be
this
Clark
works.
Kent. He can't be Clark Kent. He can't be Kal-El if he's a Black Superman.
Yeah,
He has to be his own individual Superman.
yeah, and we've also already talked about this numerous times. All you're doing by specifically casting a black, well, there's two things that you're essentially doing by casting a black actor to play Clark Kent. First of all, is you are you are making the market very narrow
Yeah,
for like the casting is very narrow for the right person, which means that you might not cast the best person for the job because you are being too specific. And the
yeah,
second thing is that um, by casting a black man as a canonically white character, all you're doing is basically saying there are no good black characters. this is why black people are underrepresented, so we need to give them a white character to make them feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't like that because there's so
And
many good
no,
black actors.
yeah,
There's so
it's
many
just
good
not
black
true that
characters
there
out
aren't
there.
any good black characters, especially in DC. I feel honestly, weirdly,
There's more
DC
in
has
DC than
better.
Marvel. Like
Yeah,
there's no
and
comparison because of
and
Milestone Comics.
yeah, Marvel has a few decent characters here and there, but Marvel has a few decent characters here and there, like Black Panther and so on. But DC just have honestly better ones in general,
Yeah, they have.
consistently.
I mean, just off the top of my head, name five. Okay, well, Jon Stewart, Icon, uh, Black Lightning, um, John Jones tends to be black or woman.
I would have gone with Static.
Static, yes, also. That's five. We've done five.
Yeah,
And there's more out there. There's Vixen.
yeah. Vixen.
She's a woman.
Yeah,
You could do something with
there you
her.
go. There you go.
Um, I
What
mean,
Rocket?
not Rocket, yeah. Even though she's a sidekick to Icon, so it's kind of like a double deal. But you can have a film with both.
Still, a double deal is better than no deal at all. Let's be fair.
Exactly, that is true. Um, so Hawkman and Hawkwoman, while not black, you could still cast a Middle Eastern, like a Semite, like an
I
Arab
think
or a
the thing
Persian
is,
person to play them,
yeah, I
because
think the
that's still true
benefit
to the character.
the benefit with Hawk Girl and Hawk Man, you can realistically kind of cast anyone so long
I
as they're.
think they may have actually
Uh,
cast a Persian person for Hawkman in the Black Adam film.
that's cool.
Yeah, that
I was going
works.
to say you could realistically cast anyone so long as, don't take this the wrong way, so long as they're not Asian, because a black
No,
person could work,
yeah,
a Middle Eastern person could work, or a white person could work, depending on what iteration you want to go with. If they're aliens, then any of the three work. If they're human, then with just weird powers, then Persian or black or white could work because of the region.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I think with their casting, I don't think you have to be. You don't ever have to be that particular
yeah,
about that.
exactly. So that even works better.
Yeah,
There's options out there. You don't. It doesn't have to be Superman, and it definitely doesn't have to be Clark Kent or
no,
Kal-El.
yeah, it doesn't.
So
I will say
I
this with the
because
fact.
go on.
Sorry, no, no, no. I was going to say the fact that there is, while it's a lot, they're putting. I think to be fair, it was more of a news outlet putting emphasis on like, oh, a Latino woman's playing Supergirl, which
Yeah,
who gives a shit. But the fact that she still looks like, because the thing is, the first thing I pointed out to
I
you
didn't
when I
even
saw the
think about that,
picture
to be honest. When we saw the pictures,
was that she was Latino.
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the first thing that jumped to me. The first thing was like, oh,
She looks cool.
kind of looks like she could be Henry Cavill's daughter, like in a few,
Yeah,
10, 20 years. That was the first thing that leapt to mind. I was like, it's a good sign. It's a good sign that if they're not going to have Henry Cavill as Superman, they're not going to just sweep his character under the rug. They're going to get some form of him through maybe his daughter,
yeah,
which I thought would work. But yeah, because in the end, it was like, oh no, she could still be white, just with a really good tan.
yeah. Continuing my prediction though,
Yeah,
I think because of the reasons that we've mentioned, I think that that film with the black Superman is
yeah,
going to be shelved and never to be touched again. And at
not
some
for a
point that
long
and
time.
at some point they're going to reconsider having Henry
Henry
Cavill
Cavill.
because his firing was very spontaneous. Like they shouldn't have done
It,
that.
no, it was spontaneous, and it felt like a very rushed, emotional decision to set up a well
It
thought out plan.
was. It
Because
was.
this thing, if a studio comes out saying, "Oh, we've had to release this actor," not because of any personal reason, but because just in terms of timetable,
Yeah,
in terms of schedule,
he
it
wouldn't free
wouldn't
up his
work.
schedule for us. And it's like, well, his agent runs his schedule. Like, take it up with them.
Yeah,
And there's other film studios, and man's gotta eat.
and even then, I would be, thinking, Warner Brothers, you're not Jesus, you're not walking on water, you're
No,
not God,
you're
not
owned by a
every
different
actor.
company for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and the other thing is to bear in mind is like Warner Brothers. The other thing is as well. It's like, okay, fine, this year he can't do Superman. Fine, we'll do a different superhero instead, and we'll schedule him for the year after when he has time.
Yeah,
Like it's just as simple as that. Give another superhero some time in the spotlight. It's not
exactly.
difficult. Yeah,
And the only thing I can really say, um, even though it's a different company, but the only thing I can really say as like a backup to what I'm saying probably going to happen is look at James Gunn. He was fired from Marvel, and then they were like, okay, so we're gonna check see who
Who
can
else
direct
can?
the next Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they were looking for people. To their credit, they were looking for people hard, not anything diverse or anything, but they were like, oh, maybe Taika Waititi could do it, and obviously he said no because I got my hands full with
Or
Thor, and I've got my own projects that I want to do, Jojo Rabbit and all that. They thought maybe what's his face, Peyton Reed. He was like, well, I kind of have Ant-Man that I'm doing, and the other things. Um, and sooner or later, they just came to the conclusion that no one else can do it because of
yeah,
the very specific style.
and not even just that. Not that no one else could do it. It's that none of their actors who you can't just replace would come back unless it was James Gunn.
Exactly. I mean,
Like that's
the only people I think could have potentially done it is the Russo brothers, and
yeah,
I don't think they actually want to do that. I think they want to do other
no,
things now. Like,
yeah,
obviously
absolutely.
they've done Avengers, and now they want to do stuff like 21 Bridges. Which, having said it out loud, I just realized that film is at least 2 years old by this point.
Yeah, but either way, there's
But
probably
stuff
still
like
looking
that they want to
for.
do. They want to do more like standalone kind of things,
Yeah,
and maybe
they've
maybe fucking develop the community film for once. Come on, it's been several years. We're still
mm,
waiting.
you're waiting. I don't give a shit.
Fair enough. 6 seasons in a
But
movie.
anyway, uh, but I will say this: as much as I want Henry Cavill to come back, there is one concern I have that does ride with him coming back,
Mhm.
and it's not a it is, for me at least a massive concern. Is if he comes back, what's to stop them from inviting someone else back, like Snyder?
Nothing is stopping them from inviting Snyder back, because because basically he just made a film that a lot of people, not us or me specifically, but a lot of people said is better than the original cut, and
Yeah,
they're giving him more freedoms when it comes to that. Snyder didn't leave because his film was bad or anything. He left for personal reasons.
yeah,
He left because his daughter and all that. But he's still been producing films here and there. Like he's still producing. I think I might be wrong on this, but I think he produced the Wonder Woman film,
yeah.
and I think he
He
was
did.
also to some extent working on the Aquaman films as well.
Yeah,
Not entirely, but to some extent.
yeah.
The only thing that he hasn't had involvement in is Shazam,
Is Shazam,
and I think that
which
that's The Rock. The
and
Rock
we've also
produced
both
Shazam.
argued, yeah, which we both argued Shazam's better than all the
Yes.
other films.
Oh yeah.
And once again, it's come into that argument of I think Warner Brothers have kind of pegged that Snyder isn't all that.
I
But
don't
the
think so.
issue is that, and the thing is, while a lot of people have said that, oh, this film is better than the Justice League, and to be fair, if I were thinking, well, to be fair, the benchmark wasn't very high, so
Also,
who gives
I stand by Joss Whedon's
what you,
cut.
yeah, you stand by it.
Yeah,
It's also the argument that it's like, yeah, but it may be better, but is it still a good film? And watching it, you think, not particularly. It's
yeah,
too long. There's too much stuff in it that doesn't make sense. It just feels like Snyder made a lot of stuff just for the sake of having it in there.
exactly.
And what I'm worried is that Warner Brothers will just cave again and let Snyder return. And the issue is, I just don't think
The thing is,
Snyder.
they will do,
Yeah,
but not for Shazam,
yeah,
because I
because I
think
think
Shazam and Black Adam and all of those are going to be their
set
own little
very set.
entity that are part of the same universe, but they're their own little thing.
Yeah,
And it's like Guardians of the Galaxy almost. Having said that, I don't like Zack Snyder produced the first Suicide Squad film. I don't know if he's involved in this one at all.
yeah. And actually, I'm going to take a look at Flash and see if he's producing that.
I don't think he is, to be honest with you.
I don't think he is either, which
He
is
might be.
uh, writing produced by Michael Disco. No,
Good.
he's
I will
not
watch it and I will
producing.
enjoy it. These are my standards.
These are your stuff. I think interestingly, I'm going to say this: the Flash film and the Black Adam film, which I think both come out next year, right?
Yes.
This will be the make or break films because if these two not only are they just good, if they do very well, it will confirm to Warner Brothers, hey, we don't need Snyder.
Yeah.
We get Henry Cavill back, but we don't need Snyder back.
Yeah.
And I think they'll repair some form of relationship with him, saying, hey, we'll give you a film and you can
Of
do things
course.
here and there, but you're not going to run the cinematic universe anymore.
Yeah. This is
And to
the
be fair, very much what I'm getting from Warner Brothers is they're now basically canceling the cinematic universe and they're just doing standalone films within the universe, which I think still works.
yeah, it still works. I do think that they want to give Snyder his Justice League Part 2 eventually,
Yeah, yeah,
because
eventually.
his film is entirely built to set that up, and
Yeah,
I think a lot of people have petitioned for it to happen, and obviously like petitions get you
the whole
somewhere.
the whole hashtag restore the
Yeah,
Snyderverse. I think to be fair, if they do that, they'll basically say, "Oh, that's that," but it'll be separate still to the other films, the
yeah.
standalone stuff.
What I will say is, you might think that what John Favreau was to the Marvel Universe, you might think that Zack Snyder is that, but he isn't.
No,
Zack Snyder is like the Joss Whedon was to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
yeah,
Um,
it's something incredible, but it's not what you remember it
yeah.
for. You don't
Um,
remember the Marvel Universe for Avengers Assemble weirdly. You remember it for either how it ended or how it
you
started.
will remember it for Avengers Assemble, I will say, because that is still one of the better films in that entire cinematic universe, even to this day.
Yeah,
But you make Avengers, and then you make Age of Ultron, and then you kind of disappear from the face of the earth.
yeah.
Because Age of Ultron
Only to
just
return to
was
make
very okay.
Justice League.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
only to return to make Justice
Um,
League. Which,
and then
while
even then, you're just finishing it. You're not actually doing anything worthwhile.
yeah, and even then, while you may prefer it, we still have to admit it's not that good.
It's not that good. No, to be fair, I will freely admit that it's not a good film.
Yeah,
But
it's
at least it's more enjoyable to watch, and I have a better time watching it, and I just overall prefer it because
fair. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Snyder's film is also not very good, but
But it's so
it's a
uh,
drag.
yeah, it's a drag. That's the issue.
It's
Like it's
4 hours long.
and yeah,
I
The first Lord of the Fellowship of the Ring wasn't 4 hours long for Christ's
Yeah,
sake. And
literally.
by the time they got to the cut that was 4 hours long, which was basically what the Return of the King, that was the end of
Yeah,
the goddamn trilogy.
and also that's the
It
director's
built up
cut.
to a 4 hour masterpiece. It didn't start
Yeah,
with the 4 hour master
it's
god.
true. And also, if so, basically, if you were to ask me, right, which 4 hour long film would you rather watch? Zack Snyder's Justice League or The Irishman? My response to that will be, what are you talking about? They're 4 hours long. I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah,
Like, can't you can you really not just cut them to like maybe 2 hours? Three if you
or at
really need
least
it?
at most 2.5 if you really need it. Like,
Because I'll be honest, like the later Avengers films are 3 hours long, and I think Endgame is like 3.5 hours long. But it is an epic to sit through, and you can
and
like separate
once
that into
again,
chapters way easier than you can do Justice League, because that was fucking arbitrary.
yeah. And the thing is, even then, with Endgame. People are like, oh, but Endgame's 3.5 hours long. How come you're okay with that? It's like, yeah, but once again, like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, that's nearly 4 hours long, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Remind me, where do they come in their cinema in their respective universes? At the end. Oh,
at
so
the end.
they finished with the epic cut, not
Hmm.
started by saying, "Look at my big dick, I'm Zack Snyder. I can start cinematic
To be
universe
fair,
with
it
the
was
four
his third film. It's still not a good enough reason,
But
but
no, because here's the issue. They spent all this time not only establishing each of the Marvel characters, they then did ensemble films to establish them together. Whereas with Zack Snyder's like, oh no, we don't need an ensemble film to pre-establish them for the 4 hour cut. No, 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 we can just all throw them in there.
yeah, but
So how it works.
what
So
we've
how it
also
works.
already discussed is Justice League was awful because there was very little conflict,
Yeah.
like within the characters. I have never seen a superhero team that came together and just immediately agreed on everything.
And
Uh,
clicked, yeah.
and look, and it surprises
So
me because of it that the film was longer, because literally, like, you know, the bit where they meet in the Batcave, they're like, "Oh, we're reviving Superman. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's just do that." And it's
yeah,
like, why is everyone on board with this? Why is
because
no
yeah,
one just going, "Hey, do you know what? We're bringing a dead man to life. He's been in the ground for a year."
and here's the thing: the two things on that is one, the reason why I think Josh Whedon handled that so much better is he does have Wonder Woman go, "You can't do that."
Yes,
There's conflict there. There's a whole point of her going, "You have no right to do this to him." And secondly, what was the second point I was going to fucking make about bringing? I can't even remember now. But God, that fair, that first point is the only real point I need to make the argument of like,
yeah,
don't really need conflict. I guess maybe another point would be is that when they're bringing him back, Aquaman finally goes, "Oh, this is a bad idea." It's like, wait, you're now bringing this up.
that was in the
Now you
Whedon
decide to
cut.
bring it up, huh?
That was in the Whedon cut.
That was also like that. No, they also did it with Snyder's cut.
Then that's
They
just
had a
bad.
yeah, that's just bad.
That makes
And
Aquaman look stupid.
well, actually, no, it makes him seem smart, but smart too late, which is just slang for
That's
stupid.
relate. That's relatable, actually.
uh,
You know, I have these moments of like genius when it's way too late. Like,
yeah,
yes, for instance, yesterday, I actually, for those who don't know, I got my vaccine yesterday, right? Um, but I also remembered that I have to do a PCR test today for travel. And literally, the moment I left the hospital, I thought to myself, wait, a vaccine is like a lesser form of the disease, right? So, shouldn't I have maybe checked that, if I do this, whether I test positive or not? I looked it up. Apparently, it doesn't work that way. So we're good.
okay, that's good. That's good.
Um,
Um,
but literally, like at that moment, I suddenly was like, why didn't I think of this before?
because the other note of issue, I've now remembered the second point, or what I think was the second point,
Yeah,
is that the only other real bit of conflict the team has is when they actually do confront Superman and they have that small battle with him, in which we've pointed out the issues of, he's fucking too powerful after he's come back from the dead. Actually, no, I've now remembered my actual second point, which anyway, I'll come back to it in a second.
yeah.
Um, but the problem is I think to myself, it's like, if you're the Justice League, and if someone ever made their argument like, oh, but they're holding back, I'm like, okay, fair enough, fair enough. They're holding back against two? Superman. Why?
That's the
This
last
is a
thing you want to be
guy who
doing.
can, yeah, you holding back against Superman who doesn't give a shit about killing you or not is certain death.
Also, can I just say, whoever said they're holding back, lying.
No, that's the thing. I'll say this: no one has said that to me, but I can imagine someone making that an
Yeah.
argument. I
If
can
if they
imagine this.
if they say that, they're lying because no one was
Yeah,
holding back. You can tell that
no,
no one was holding back.
no,
The only
no one was
person who
holding.
might have been holding back is Wonder Woman, and that's a big
Yeah,
might. I don't think she
and
actually did.
even then, that's a big might, and that makes her seem really stupid because she has fought side by side with Superman briefly. She's seen what he's capable of.
Yeah,
She should be the one to know for sure. It's like, I really can't hold
yeah,
back with him. Really can't, because he will kill us if I do.
yep.
Because
Well,
logically, in terms of the Justice League, she's the only member in that team there who could have beaten him.
yep.
And he just basically ragdolled her, which fucking pissed me off. But the actual second point I remember now is like, if I were there and they're going, we need to bring Superman back, I'd be going, wait. Is this a good idea? Why wouldn't it be? This has been done before, right? No, no one has ever been brought back from the dead. Pretty sure they have. Name one time. Who killed Superman? Doomsday. What was Doomsday? The reanimated corpse of Zod. Does no one think this is a bad idea? Does no one see the issue here?
Also,
You know what? No. In my recut of Justice League, I'm just going to actually insert
yeah,
Doomsday's rebirth and just Doomsday's birth and just have that be there. It's like them going, huh, we didn't think this through. I'm just saying that's how it should have been because no one thought that part through.
well, if I were there, I would just go like, "This is clearly a bad idea." Why would you say that? He's been dead for over a year. Do you know what happens to brains after a year of just not being used? They start fucking decaying. What do you think was gonna? But he's Kryptonian. Okay, maybe, but
Maybe.
with
But
humanoid physiology, so what makes you think that the brain will still be attacked? Well, because he's Kryptonian. It's like, okay, Here's an idea. You want to bring him back? Throw him into the sun.
Yeah.
Which has actually been done in the comics. He's been thrown into the sun, and he actually came back very powerful.
And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, all you need to really do is just get him above the atmosphere,
I
where
think,
the
yeah,
solar radiation is at full force.
literally.
Because the atmosphere doesn't lessen it. The atmosphere will be lessening it. If you just give him above atmosphere, you don't even need to launch him to the sun. Just put him on a fucking rocket and launch him into space, and just
Yeah.
hope for the best. And be
So,
like, oh, but we can't do that. But Batman, haven't you been preaching about all you need sometimes is hope or faith? Have
yeah.
faith, man. This will work.
I didn't. This is the thing. That's another thing I didn't like about the film at all. Is like Batman is suddenly religious or something. I don't know. Like he's suddenly like preaching the cult of Superman.
No, there'll be a great moment where just like the whole Justice League is coming over to Batman's for like, lunch or whatever, and they're like, huh, Batman built a little chapel, and they all open the door. There's just Batman there praying, and there's just
Yeah.
Superman just shirtless with the cape and just flowing like Christ. And
Oh
they'll just have,
no.
and the thing is, this is post Justice League, so Clark will be there just going,
Yeah. Yeah.
just backing away. He's just like, what the fuck am I looking?
Here's the real problem with bringing Superman back, and I've discussed this actually also with a former colleague of mine recently. I don't know if we talked about this since. The real problem with resurrecting Superman, as they did it or as they didn't, is the fact that he had to be resurrected at all, because he was killed off in the second film that he appeared in.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think that the reason for that is because Zack Snyder genuinely thought that the only interesting Superman story that anyone ever liked is the death of Superman.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have happened.
No.
There's so many other Superman stories that you can tell. Superman versus the Elite is like our number one that needs to be told at some point. But let's assume that it doesn't happen because it's still too obscure of a story. Okay, do set up All-Star Superman. Because I didn't necessarily like All-Star Superman as much as it should be liked, but it's still a very good story.
Yeah.
Again,
And
it's not a second Superman film kind of story.
Yeah, and to be fair, you still have Superman and Brainiac, Superman versus Brainiac, which you can do so much more with. Like even then, just thinking more and more about it, like you have so many other storylines. Man of Tomorrow,
Yeah.
fucking. I mean, God, there's so much.
Or make one up. It's not that difficult. For Superman,
It's not
it
that
really
difficult.
isn't.
I mean, you look at Christopher Reeve's Superman. They made two very good Superman stories with the first and second film. Which
yeah.
And
I didn't even hate Superman Returns up until a certain point.
Yeah, Superman Returns is up to a certain point very, very good.
Yeah, you just have Superman catching a plane and you've made the film.
Yeah. And
that's how easy it can be.
Arguably, the other great scene in that film is when the fucking minigun is shooting at him and just the gun bullet going into his eye and just...
Yeah, I love that.
That's such a...
But I'll tell you what. Zack Snyder would never make that. And I think it's because Zack Snyder doesn't know how to make a fun film.
Yeah.
I think
he doesn't know how to make a Superman film. That's just
I think he knows how to make films that he thinks are cool and are dark and are gritty and are sort of interesting. Having said that, I haven't seen any of his films that I've been told are slightly more comedic in nature. I mean, I've seen 300 and I fucking hated it. To a large degree. I know I shouldn't hate it as much, but I did. I know that apparently, well, I haven't seen Army of the Dead yet. One day. I think he made one of the Ash versus, or an Evil Dead remake at some point that apparently is really good.
I know he made a Dawn of the Dead
Dawn of the Dead, that's the one.
Yeah. Dawn of the Dead wasn't a actually, no, that's not fair. It has comedic moments, but it's still pretty dark. But to be fair, I think the original was still pretty dark anyway.
Okay, so he doesn't know how to make a fun film then.
Yeah, because I will say this.
Basically what this is.
Once again, the issue is like there are parts where like Army of the Dead, you look at it and the marketing, all that, okay, like this will be a fun film, and I was watching, it's like, okay, there are parts of this where it's actually funny and entertaining, but then it is immediately ruined when it takes itself too seriously again.
Yeah.
Which I think is the issue. Zack Snyder thinks he can blend comedy with taking yourself seriously, and you can't. It has to be realistically one or the other.
You can do it.
It can work.
but
But
it depends on how you approach it. Like again,
it depends on how you approach it. And to be fair, when you look at the filmmakers,
I
that never
think
took itself. That's
I
never taken itself
I
seriously.
think it did in a very what's the word? It did in a subtle way. Like there were moments.
There were moments, but I felt they were very much overshadowed by times by the comedy aspect.
There were,
At
but
least for me.
there were,
At least for
there were moments where they did actually use comedy to to very much like focus on the pain that Thor was going through. And like it only came to me like a couple of times after watching that, but one of the things that needs to be remembered about comedy is it's not always just fun and jokes for the sake of having fun. Like behind consistent comedy is often real pain, and the comedy is made to suppress that pain.
yeah.
That's why a lot of comedians tend to have the darkest demons behind them. Take for example Robin Williams, who
Yeah, that's true.
who essentially, I mean, I don't know to what extent this is actually the case, but as far as I understand, was so busy trying to make other people laugh, um, because he couldn't face his own um
Yeah, yeah.
the things that troubled him, and it became too
Yeah.
much at some point, and he felt like he failed the world.
Yeah.
That kind of thing happens. Um, so I think there's a lot. I'll, maybe not Thor Ragnarok, but if you take Jojo Rabbit for example, there are a lot of jokes throughout the film that are slightly more subtle, but they are to kind of convey the idea of like a darker plot that is going on, which is the Nazis are hunting down Jews and will capture them and round them up. Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I think in that regard, Taika Waititi does that really well. There are other films that do that quite well as well, where they use comedy to like really because what I like is taking yourself seriously with comedy. Is comedy opens up someone, and then you can hit them in the gut
Yeah.
with like a powerful kind of moment where shit's sad or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
not being dismissive about it, but like that kind of thing. Um, and it does happen a lot. I think that's what did that. I think that's why Guardians of the Galaxy worked so well for me as well. James Gunn again. The first one specifically is because um, the marketing for the film was very funny, and I was very much looking forward to it. I was ready to go
Yeah.
into an adventure, and the first fucking thing that happens is his mother dies from cancer,
Yeah.
and that's powerful in and of itself because I think everyone at this point knows someone firsthand who's dealt with cancer,
Yeah.
um, and that it just hits hard immediately, right? Then you go through the entire film, and there's funny bits happening, and shit's going crazy, and then there's these real moments where like characters are making a sacrifice or where they're dealing with these emotions that they're harboring. And yes, oftentimes they are undercut with a joke, but it doesn't negate the fact that these real things happened. And I'm I I I I feel the pain of the characters because they've made me laugh and I've opened up to them now. But that's something that Zack Snyder doesn't know how to do. Is I think he just likes the idea of characters throwing out a funny one-liner, and then that will carry you through the next 10 minutes until someone does
Doesn't
it
even
again.
really give them. He doesn't even really give them one-liners. Let's be fair.
Do you bleed? You
That wasn't
will.
meant to be. That wasn't meant to be a comedic one-liner, though.
No, it wasn't meant to be a comedic one,
That was meant to be taken seriously.
of course. But again, like, what I mean is he throw out a one-liner and it will keep you going for time. I don't think any of Schwarzenegger's one-liners are meant to be comedic. They're just funny because he says it.
I think they weren't originally, but then people realized that there was comedy to it,
Yeah.
and they've abused that ever since. Let's
Oh
be
yeah.
fair.
The difference between Schwarzenegger and anyone in Zack Snyder's films is that Schwarzenegger beats one out every half a minute. And in
Yeah,
Zack Snyder's films, it just happens every so often until he kind of start cringing.
yeah. And the thing is, with Schwarzenegger, that's part of his his overall self character now. The
It is.
corny 80s one liner.
Yeah.
So with Snyder, with a filmmaker, you kind of expect more,
You do
which
expect
is
more.
yeah,
But yeah, we can brag on to Snyder forever, but obviously
yeah,
that's not really the point of the story.
no, but yeah. Uh, I guess somewhat wrapping it up now.
Yeah.
Briefly, I briefly just for a bit was looking at the upcoming DC films
Sure.
over the course, and just briefly going to list off a few ones. Some of these I think are shows because there's Aquaman, King of Atlantis, which it says the series begins with Aquaman's first day at the job. So that sounds like a
Yeah.
DC animated comedy.
No, I think the subtitle for the second um Aquaman film was released, and it wasn't that. I think it was like
Yeah,
the fall of the trench or something like that. I
yeah.
don't remember exactly what
Uh,
it was.
however, there's you remember the name of John Cena's character for Suicide Squad?
Yeah, yeah, Peacekeeper.
Yeah, they're doing a series of that, which I
Yeah, I knew
think
that. Pretty much as
that
soon as the first trailer came out for
everyone was like,
Suicide Squad, like immediately James Gunn revealed, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a spin-off show for him." And I
and
was
to be
like,
fair,
"Really?"
but you say that, but to be fair, the brief stuff we've gotten from the trailers,
No, I'll watch it with I'll love
I'll
it. I'm
watch it with
sure.
fucking pride because the one line he said that sold me on it was like, "I love peace and I'm willing to kill whoever I need to get it." I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just too good.
I think yeah. Uh, maybe a bit of a spoiler, but in the new trailer, there's this bit as well. Like the bit where they're like in the audience, and
Yeah,
Amanda Waller says like, "Are there any questions?" And like in the first one, it was King Shark saying, "I am Shark."
he
Um,
goes. No, he goes. And
yeah, and that's the
uh,
one. So basically, in this one, Peacekeeper actually goes like, "So, starfish is actually slang for butthole. Is that related in any way?" And he says it with a straight face, and she just goes, "No." And he goes, "Good to know. We're not dealing with buttholes."
I will say, oh man, you know what? Say what you will, but I think John Cena's got a great
He's
film
he's
career
got
ahead
he's
of
got a career ahead of him. Yeah.
him. Oh my
Well,
god.
he's in it now because he's in Suicide Squad. He's in Fast Nine,
Fast Nine, yeah,
which
he's in
I'm
every,
I'm
yeah,
I'm not gonna be able to watch tomorrow, as far as I can tell from my schedule. Like,
yeah.
fuck, I'm stuck.
Anyway, what
Yeah,
there's a Green Lantern based series coming out.
cool.
Batman the Cape Crusader, which looks like an animation.
Yeah, I saw the poster for that. It looks
Yeah,
very Bruce Timm,
yeah.
which I'm very
There's
looking forward to.
My Adventures with Superman. Clark Kent builds his secret Superman identity.
That's a long ass
I
title.
think it's something. I think it's something to do with either Lois or Jimmy Olsen. I think it's main. Oh, while sharing adventures and for basically, I think it's gonna be like, oh yeah, no, because remember they announced that they're doing a Superman and Batman animation series now.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so Batman the Cape Crusader is the Batman one, and then My Adventures with Superman is going to be the Superman one.
Is it like, because the animation, like I said, the animation style looks very like animated series.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Kevin Conroy and but generic
Does
Superman actor here?
I don't know.
Because if it is, then I'm complete. Like currently, I'm sold, but I want to be completely sold.
Fair enough. There's obviously Batman: The Long Halloween Part Two,
Yep, with
the Suicide
fucking
Squad,
the guy who played. Oh, was it
Jensen
Jensen
Ackles.
Ackles? Yeah, the
Yeah,
guy
Jensen
who
Ackles.
played Red Hood
Yep.
in the original Red Hood film.
Yep.
That's gonna be
The
fucking great.
Batman. The Batman is
Yeah, with Robert
which comes out
Pattinson.
next year, which actually still looks good.
It looks good. Yeah, I'll watch it.
And then I think the one you and I are looking forward to most, actually, Black Adam might be giving this competition to be fair, but DC League of Super Pets.
Yeah, baby, with also Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
So it's got Dwayne the Rock Johnson, Kevin Hart,
Yeah, as based out.
John,
As Ace the Bat Hound as well.
yeah,
That's gonna.
John Krasinski,
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves, and Kate McKinnon.
I
So
I don't care about the last one.
I don't care. It's a
I'm.
fantastic list.
I'll be honest. I haven't quite seen her in anything yet that I actually liked.
McKinnon.
She was in a
Oh,
film with
she's.
Mila Kunis at some point. I do remember that, and I haven't watched it. But I haven't enjoyed SNL in several years.
Yeah.
I will tell you this much now.
Sure, I think in a film where she's playing an anime character, she might actually
she might thrive.
do
Yeah.
well. Yeah. The Flash, obviously.
Yep.
No, this is the sequel to the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
That's the one. I
Yeah.
am looking forward to that because it's James
Shazam!
Wan again, right?
Pardon? James Wan, yeah.
Yeah. Shazam 2. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Yeah, with Lucy Liu
Yeah.
joining the cast
Yep.
as something I don't remember. She was
We'll
like a
find
big
out, I guess.
character.
Yeah. Oh wait. Let me check the cast.
Yeah.
See if
I think she was cast as a character already, and they revealed what the character is, but I don't remember.
As Calypso.
That's the one. I don't remember who that is, but it sounds like a Greek goddess.
I mean, to be fair, if it's from Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't know. Calypso.
We don't talk about that.
Okay.
Well, I do have, yeah.
Is still an Aquaman. Not sure if you give a shit about that. I
Well,
personally don't.
I'll be honest, right? I think there's a annoying kind of double standard because she's still an Aquaman. But I don't know if you've heard this. Like Johnny Depp's been fired from Pirates of the Caribbean, definitively, and like
Okay.
they're looking to like finish off. So they want to make Pirate 6, and they do want to like finish it off as like this will be like the last one in the series. And the producers looking if they could potentially like have him do a cameo, but he's like saying like if it fits the story. And usually when they say something like that, it's like, okay, it's not gonna fit the story. They're not gonna do this because that's just bad rep.
Yeah.
I do think it's unfair that they're essentially both accused of the same thing, and one of them has way more evidence stacked up than the other.
Yeah.
And still, like he gets fired from a franchise that he has been in for literally years, and she still gets to remain the same character that has a different accent and literally and like she's been in 3 different films in the DCU, and in all 3 of them she had different accents, and 2 of them were the same film. So it's like she's not even that good an actress, and honestly, I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed with the thing.
Was the same film the Justice League film?
Yeah.
I can't blame her for having bad acting when considering who the director was, in all honesty. Because he doesn't give a shit.
Both
he
of them.
Doesn't give a shit.
Because they did the reshoots. That's why she has a different accent.
Yeah.
She was okay in Aquaman, but she was very much just a set piece more than anything.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, she doesn't deserve to stay in there. I think if Johnny Depp
okay,
gets fired.
carry on. Jesus, Rob.
We're talking. We're having a conversation.
No, you're having a rant. There's a difference.
You're just reading a list.
So that we could then have a discussion about it and not a rant.
Okay, then read your list then.
I can't. You're ranting.
Well, maybe you should make a list about my rants. I don't know.
Oh, well, one day. You watch.
No, I'm worried now. Anyway,
Untitled Superman project, which probably what we've been discussing.
Which I just said it's most likely going to be failed. It
Yeah.
will most likely fail, and they will get Henry Cavill back.
Yeah. Static Shock.
You did tell me that recently.
Yeah.
That
Blue
sounds
Beetle.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue
Yeah.
Beetle.
Cool.
Plastic Man.
What?
Plastic Man.
That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work.
I think it could. I think it really could. If they don't take it seriously and they go full comedy.
Yes. And it's produced by The Rock.
And to be fair, considering Plastic Man is actually a comedic character in the comic books most of the time.
Yeah.
I think it will work. But anyway,
it has to be weird.
They're doing a Zatanna film by the looks of things.
I think I heard that.
I'll be very curious to see that.
I
I'm not sure.
am looking forward to it, but cautiously.
Yeah, same. Our Man.
Our
I
man.
don't know who that is. Yeah, Our Man. Hour Man.
So like
Our
the
Man,
guy who keeps checking his watch.
apparently.
Okay.
I think he's a member of the Justice Society back in the day. Oh no.
Oh
You remember we watched Justice Society World War Two?
yeah.
He was in it. He was
Oh, he's the
the
guy who
guy.
literally has superpowers for just an hour.
Yeah,
What a
that's the guy.
useless fucking guy.
I know. And they're making a film or a show or something about it.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Batgirl, that's still on apparently.
Oh, is this the one directed by Joss Whedon?
It's no longer going to be directed by him. It's Adele Al Arby. Adil El Arby. And
Okay.
looks like two Middle Eastern people. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well,
Uh,
I don't want to watch that.
Green Lantern Corps.
I am looking forward to that. What?
And Justice Gods Among Us, the movie.
Let's go.
Directed by Ian Rogers.
No.
Joker 2.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah, doesn't need a sequel. Nightwing.
Redundant.
Yeah. Supergirl.
Redundant. But
Depending on how Flash goes.
depending on how Flash goes, and then obviously if it's like continuing from there, then yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And Constantine.
There already is a Constantine film, and it's perfect. And that is awful. If they make a Constantine film with Matt Ryan, then I am on board.
Well, there we go. That's the list of DC films.
Yep.
And I'll say this. This is weirdly one of the very few times I feel DC has a more good-looking list than Marvel does at the moment.
While I dislike a lot of the things on Marvel's list, I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Because we are still getting Guardians. First of all, this year alone, Shang-Chi, fine, whatever. The Eternals,
Yeah.
fine, whatever. But we are still getting a new Spider-Man film with Andrew Garfield and
Okay.
Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx and Kirsten Dunst and I
Tobey
think
Maguire.
Emma Stone and Tobey Maguire as well, who, by the way, has also been that's something I read recently and you should know. Tobey Maguire has not been confirmed for the Doctor Strange film, but is most likely going to be in it. And since that's been in discussion, Sony has been saying that they might, because it's Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
So Sony has been saying, "Hey, but we got both of them, and like one of them, is Spider-Man basically. So why don't we just, where we left off?"
I'm not sure if you remember this, but I think it was in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film. They do reference Doctor Strange.
They do.
Yeah.
So this is a way of.
It's not too far-fetched, actually. Yeah.
So I think what they're trying to do is like integrate the universes now, and then just make Spider-Man 4. But not Spider-Man 4 of the MCU. I mean, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4.
Interesting.
With Tobey Maguire as the Spider-Man.
That would be interesting to see.
That would be awesome to see. But also very worrying, because it could be just another
terrified.
Spider-Man 3.
I'm terrified.
But that's in the works. So we've got Spider-Man, and then we got Doctor Strange. Love and Thunder might fail because of Natalie Portman. Or it might succeed because of everything else. I don't know right now, and I'm worried about the former, but I'm hoping for the latter. Then we've got, what else do we have? Guardians of the Galaxy 3, obviously. That should be good. We're also getting a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which is the only holiday special that I'll probably ever watch. Because it does genuinely sound quite good. Like in terms, like I think there was a leaked script page, and I liked it. Yes, okay, we're getting the Marvels, which what even is that. So don't really care about that.
It's
I
going to be Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. And
probably
probably the actress from whatchamacallit from WandaVision, whatever her name
that's
was.
fine. I actually liked her. Um,
I liked her too. Yeah,
it's just that I don't like
Monica
the
Rambeau.
Brie
Monica
Larson.
Rambeau.
Yeah. Um, I don't particularly care about Wakanda Forever because I think it's a mistake to make a film without the actual Black Panther actor in it.
Yeah,
Um, but we
they're
are.
making. Are they making Namor now? No.
I think Namor is going to appear in another film.
Okay.
I think there's speculations of Namor potentially either appearing in Loki or appearing in Doctor Strange.
Okay.
But whatever they're doing, like I think they are more working towards like having this integrated like multiverse story
Yeah.
arc with Loki and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and I'm very excited about that. But then further down the line, they've also said that they're doing Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
which also I'm looking forward to because I want to see how the MCU would do it, and if they would
Yeah.
actually like take the idea from the internet to cast John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic and Emily Blunt as Sue Storm.
Yep. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
So there's that. I don't remember much of the other films that have been announced. To be
I think
absolutely
that's
honest
it.
with you, I think
That's
that's it
it.
for the moment. But
Yeah.
still, like honestly, like I still think that list is better than Marvel film than the DC films. But if
No,
anyone's
I agree.
winning,
I think it's better, but at the same time, I'm more thinking of
they're
only
pulling their
two.
weight now.
There,
Like
it's not in their way. I have more confidence, weirdly, in the quality with DC at the moment than
okay, yeah, no, I that's fair.
because I think Marvel has Spider-Man, which I think will be great.
Yep.
Doctor Strange, which I think will be great. Fantastic Four, which don't know anything about yet, so I can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
The Marvels know. Shang-Chi looks good, but I don't think it's going to be that big old wow, they've found the
I
next replacement for all these
I
things.
think it's going to be the Black Panther of Asian people.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah,
I don't think I will like Black Panther, but I have a suspicion it will do really well because it's Black Panther.
yeah,
And the Marvels, no,
no.
no. But anyway,
Um,
uh,
I'll tell
but
you
yeah,
who's winning though. If you have to choose between Marvel and DC, all you need to remember is that Patty Jenkins is making a Star Wars movie, and there you go.
uh, yeah,
And
that's true.
and and she's already said that she's going to be drawing from her experience as a daughter of a fighter pilot.
Yep,
So I'm very interested in that.
yep.
Um, I do think that there's a lot of Star Wars stuff coming out though, and I'm very worried about the
Oh,
quality of that.
I am too, because I'm worried that basically what they're going to do is basically just go for quantity and just hope one of them or two of them is going to be good.
Yeah, and
But having said that, they have lifted their game since the sequel trilogy, like
oh yeah,
massively so. So I think
oh yeah. I
there's
mean
still potential for it to be great.
the anthology series so far has been pretty good. I mean, a lot of people like Rogue One,
Yeah,
and Solo wasn't as bad as people thought it would be.
I think people are kind of. I think some people are warming to Solo now.
I,
Interestingly,
I remember I loved it.
yeah, I did too. I thought it was great fun.
Um, Obviously you've got the Disney Plus stuff like The Mandalorian. Um, was very strong.
Yeah,
The last season of the Clone Wars was very strong as well.
very
Uh,
strong.
the Bad Batch is still going strong. Which is I
Yeah,
think their main title right now. I don't think they're actually releasing anything else regarding Star Wars right now.
yeah,
But they're they're doing more. Like I think either at the end of this year or at the end of next year, we're getting the Boba Fett series with Tamara
yeah,
Morrison, which
yeah,
also I think is going to be pretty interesting.
yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be good, but then again, I had doubts about Loki going forward, like going in.
yeah.
I wasn't excited about Loki to be honest with you, and you know I'm
Okay.
hooked. You could say I'm hooked.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I want to see
Uh,
more.
just quickly, what time did you say you had to leave by?
9. So I think we should wrap up about
Wrap
now.
it up. Yeah, start
Yeah,
wrapping it up. All right.
but yeah. So
No worries.
yeah, we don't have any viewers right now anyway, so we may as well.
Yeah,
So
we've just basically been ranting at each other
pretty much,
with
yeah.
no real purpose,
Um,
which is always fun to do.
I mean, that's not unusual for an episode of this. So,
No, it's really not.
but for the nice people of you who did watch till the end, thank you very much. We do appreciate you. Um, and obviously, if you like this episode, leave a like. And if you want to see more of this, leave a subscribe. I don't know if we're actually going to be doing this next week and the one after, because I
We'll
am
see
going to
how
be
things
away.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see how things go.
we'll see how things go.
Also, it does depend for things like work schedule for
That is
me as
also
well.
true. Um,
I will say this: I think I am free in the evening. Just double
yeah,
checking. Yes.
we'll definitely look into that and also see how my parents feel about it as well, because I don't want to
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, of course.
But if you do want to see us one last time for a long time, on Friday, on my Twitch channel, I'm doing a big ol' stream with hopefully as many people as I can muster, um, to basically like a bon voyage party, where we're gonna be playing party games like Among Us and Jackbox games and probably
Yeah.
Scriblio or something like that as well. Guy's gonna be there. Um, a friend of mine on Twitch known as the Death Station is gonna be there, and then
Nice.
there's other people who have been on this channel as well who might pop up as well. Um, maybe Ross later on, like he wasn't sure, but we'll see. So if you guys are interested in that, the top link in the description is for that. So give me a follow, and then on Friday 6 p.m. Bridge Summertime, and convert everything else because I'm not gonna do that again. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys very soon. Take care.